Meeting for January 8, 2013 to order. Start out with the Pledge of Allegiance, and I would like to also take a moment of silence to thank all of our men and women serving in our military, as well as a moment of silence for the loss of our 2 teenagers today in town.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Mrs. Lashway, would you please read the Open Public Meeting Act announcement?
According to the Open Public Meetings Act, adequate notice of this meeting has been given to the Mount Olive Chronicle. Notice has been posted in the Municipal Building, 204 Flanders Drakestown Road, Bud Lake, New Jersey, and notices were sent to those requesting the same.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Ferrante?
Here.
Mr. Nicastro?
Here.
Mr. Perkins?
Here.
Mr. Roman?
Here.
Mr. Walsh? Mr. Mania? Mrs. Laybow?
Here. Please let the record reflect that Mr. Mania is on vacation and Mr. Walsh is out of town on business this evening. First on the agenda, we have our discussion for the HVAC damage and plan to rectify. Mr. Canning?
Thank you, Madam President.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, this is a follow-up to some correspondence that had been sent to council previously, and this was the result of some damage we had sustained in our court offices in late August of 2012. As I briefed you at that time, this was what we felt at the time was some maintenance that had been deferred. We just have to grab the bull by the horns. What you have before you is the result of about 5 months worth of problem identification. It's a rather large problem. But it is our recommendation, and it will be reflected in the 2013 budget, that we go out to bid and for once and for all, straighten out the HVAC problems in this building. The insurance has made us painfully aware that they have covered us yet again for our fire incident. However, I would not be so optimistic that would happen again. So it's our intent that we go out to bid, rectify these long-standing problems, tie in the 7 zones with a computer program that'll balance out the air handling and some of the other mechanical issues, and put this to rest for once and for all. The price tag is, about where we expected it that it may be. We'll find out from the results of competitive bidding. But beyond that, as I outlined in the memo, and I'll be glad to answer any questions on detail on that. But the down the road, obviously, our compressors are going to have to be replaced, but the estimated cost of replacement on them pales in comparison to the overall cost of the current project in front of us. But again, should we fail to address this issue and defer the needed requirements and maintenance on this issue, the potential liability in terms of POSHA as well as environmental hazards could dwarf that.
Anyone from council have any questions? Mr. Perkins.
Thank you, Madam President. Sean, did you guys get a chance to look at clean energy to see if there was any programs that may be available for some funding money?
Yes, I did. And several of the vendors that we had brought in for estimates, they were asked specifically, every one of them, about the New Jersey Clean Energy Program. In this regard, in this aspect, they highly doubt that there is money for this excuse me, process. But for compressors and hard material down the road, they feel that the compressor is going to about $4,000 to $7,000 each down the road. There is, and anticipating there'll be funding for that clean energy would be applied to that. For this project, they will check. That's going to be part of our bid packet, but it's highly unlikely for this process.
In the bid, obviously they were asked to take a look at that and how that would tie in for future work for replacement of the HVAC, right?
Yes, yeah. For compressors, it's a pretty good bet. Given current funding, again, our compressors may not fail for another 3 to 4 or 5 years. Mm-hmm. Lord knows what will happen with future budgets coming out of Washington and New Jersey, but we would hope that the green movement would still be there and they'd still fund that program. We have not gone out to bid yet on this package. These are our overall estimates of specs. However, within the bid packet, there will be a requirement that whatever successful vendor gets this packet has to examine the New Jersey Clean Energy to see if there is available reimbursement, and they have to apply on our behalf and be familiar with that process.
Okay, thanks, Sean. I'll send you the as soon as the TRC and Honeywell release the new 2013 programs with incentives, I'll shoot you a copy of that.
I would very much appreciate it. One aspect of the bid that we're going to, not so much tighten up, but I think that would ensure quality, and I think it goes right to the New Jersey Clean Energy, is any vendor, we're going to require that they have the capability to engineer and design this process. By ensuring and asking for that capability, they're very familiar with the New Jersey Clean Energy grant program. It's not just a, and I'm not diminishing it, but not just an air conditioning vendor. It's somebody that engineers, designs, and builds these systems, and they're very familiar with the terrain of the New Jersey Clean Energy grant program.
And the incentives. Perfect. Thanks, Sean. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you. Mr. Roman?
Sean, by look at the equipment list, it seems like a lot of our equipment have approximately 30% of the useful life left. Are we going to be replacing most of the items listed that are at 30% or less?
Well, what we're looking at right now, and I believe you're referring to, is it's compressors. Those are our main major components. If they have 30% life left, we're anticipating after about 12 years old now that we're going to be able to get it between 3 and 5, 7 years left out of that. What we plan on doing is managing the replacement of that. If we have to start replacing compressors, we're going to start looking at capital budgets of 2 a year, 3 a year, and over a 3 to 4, 5 year period, replacing them to make sure that we're up to par. We don't want to be faced with the situation where we end up with one large capital expenditure that would end up being detrimental in the budget to other needed priorities.
I assume that means we're going to be staggering, so if we need 20 pieces of equipment, we'll do whatever.
Yeah, I believe from the report, I think we have a total of, Jimmy may correct me, about 12 compressors, and they vary in size between the smaller range models and the larger models, but it's our intent to replace 2 to 3 of them and cycle through those compressors when that time comes. That time is not here presently. We anticipate between 3 and 7 years that time will be arriving, and as a separate improvement outside of our current HVAC infrastructure proposal.
All right, thank you.
Anyone else have any questions? No. I just have one question. When are you going to actually go out to bid?
We have to finish the bid packet. Probably we're in the middle of a lot of other year-end things, wrapping up auto refuse. My guess is about 14 days, maybe 21 days at the outset.
Okay, you don't need anything from council to move forward with that?
No, when the packets come in, I'm pretty confident we'll be able to bring in probably early to mid-February some competitive packages, and then we'll take a look at them.
Okay, good. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And thank you for all of the detailed information.
I want to thank
it's great.
Jim Lynch, who's been instrumental in this entire process. He has more institutional knowledge of the HVAC system than the components themselves.
There you go. Thank you, Mr. Lynch. Next on the agenda, we have our resolutions. Does anybody have any questions regarding any of the resolutions for this evening? Nope, seeing none. We're down to old business. Anybody have any old business? Seeing none. New business. No new business. I'd like to open the meeting to the public portion. Anybody from the public like to address the council? Seeing none. Close the meeting to the public portion, and I would like to motion to adjourn to public meeting.
So move.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, we're moving right on to the public meeting. We've already had the Pledge of Allegiance. Mrs. Lashwick, could you please read the Open Public Meeting Act?
According to the Open Public Meetings Act, adequate notice of this meeting has been given to the Mount Olive Chronicle. Notice has been posted in the Municipal Building, 204 Flinders Drakestown Road, Bud Lake, New Jersey, and notices were sent to those requesting the same.
Thank you. Roll call. Do we have to do the roll? Yeah, we do. Roll call again, please.
Mr. Frente?
Here.
Mr. Nicastro?
Here.
Mr. Perkins?
Here.
Mr. Roman?
Here.
Mr. Walsh? Mr. Mania? Mrs. Laybow?
Here. Also for the record, reflect that Mr. Mania is on vacation and Mr. Walsh is out of town on business. First item on the agenda is approval of minutes of previous meetings, December 18, 2012 workshop, and closed session. Mr. Ferranti, would you please move the minutes?
I move to approve the minutes of December 18th, 2012 workshop and closed session. Session.
Second.
Second, thank you. Any discussion? No discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Frente?
Yes.
Mr. Nacastro?
Yes.
Mr. Perkins?
Yes.
Mr. Roman?
Yes.
Mrs. Laybow?
Yes. Correspondence, we have a total of, let's see, 35 pieces of correspondence. Would anyone like to discuss any of our correspondence for this evening's meeting? Okay, seeing none. We have our ordinance for public hearing. Let's see.
Second reading.
And I go right down here, I'm just double checking. I open the hearing to the public on ordinance number 38-2012, entitled, "An Ordinance of the Township Council of Township of Mount Olive amending ordinance number 27-2011, entitled Fees and Rates for Off-Duty Police Officers." Mr. Ferranti.
Thank you, Madam President. I move for adoption and final passage of ordinance number 38-2012.
Second.
Any any discussion? Council discussion? Seeing none?
Roll call.
Okay, and they didn't have anything, okay. Roll call, please.
Mr. Ferrante?
Yes.
Mr. Nacastro?
Yes.
Mr. Perkins?
Yes.
Mr. Roman?
Yes.
Mrs. Laybow?
Yes. I see the mayor's down there laughing tonight. Next on our agenda, we have no ordinances for first reading. Consent resolutions 1 through 5. Would anybody like to discuss? Anyone want to remove any of them to non-consent? Seeing none?
Any public comments?
Yes. Anybody from the public like to discuss our resolutions 1 through 5? Seeing none? Can I have a motion to move our resolutions, please?
I move motions 1 through 5. I mean, resolutions 1 through 5.
Second?
And no discussion? Could I have a roll call, please?
Mr. Ferrante?
Yes.
Mr. Nacastro?
Yes.
Mr. Perkins?
Yes.
Mr. Roman?
Yes.
Mrs. Laybow?
Yes. Okay, could I have, Mr. Perkins, would you please move the bill list and the appointment of Chuck McGarty as Township Planner?
Yes, Madam President, I make a motion that we approve the bill list as submitted and the appointment of Mr. Chuck McGrody as Township Planner for a 4-year term running with the mayor's term to expire 12/13/2015, 31/2015.
Second?
Any discussion? Seeing none, could I have a roll call, please?
Mr. Ferrante?
Yes.
Mr. Nacastro?
Yes.
Mr. Perkins?
Yes.
Mr. Roman?
Yes.
Mrs. Laybow?
Yes. Administrative reports. Mr. Canning, Mr. Mayor, anything to report?
I'll start.
Okay.
I know Sean has a bunch of stuff. Obviously, everyone up here is aware of the events over the last day and a half affecting everyone in Mount Olive. Fortunately or unfortunately, we did recover one of the 2 youths that fell through the ice yesterday. One still remains, we believe, under the ice at Bud Lake. Notwithstanding the terrible outcome, I wanted to extend my gratitude to the Mount Olive Police Department, Fire, EMS, State Police, Morris County Prosecutor's Office, all other emergency responders, and township residents who stepped up to the plate during this tragedy. Truly, Mount Olive is a community that has pulled together over the last year and a half through tremendous tragedies, this just being another one. And I'm sure that everyone up here joins me in offering condolences to the 2 families and their loved ones and friends. It really is heartbreaking. Finally, I would just like to thank, in this particular instance, the members and pastor at the Bud Lake Chapel who stepped up to the plate here and did what was required for the community in terms of providing guidance, counseling, warm shelter for everyone that was involved.
Thank you. Mr. Canning?
Yeah, I want to express my condolences too. It's been yet another terrible tragedy and what's been all too common in the last 12 months and a little bit beyond that in Mount Olive. You know, in examining this issue today, we've been in touch with Mr. Semrau's office and Micah Jello, and we've been given some guidance from them. We were examining the issues, and there are numerous questions pertaining to the tragedy itself, as well as conditions, access, and the other accompanying responsibility issues on and around the lake. Administration has initiated the beginnings of a fact-finding as to the numerous issues, and there are legal and property issues surrounding not just this event, but the broader lake itself. As the investigation is still in its infancy with the county, state, and local authorities, it's my advice and recommendation to council and to the mayor, in accord with the township attorney, that we await until the final facts and conclusions in this matter are brought to bear. From those lessons, we then, as administration, will examine the policy surrounding Bud Lake itself and come to the appropriate conclusion. But it's our recommendation tonight to not delve into those policy issues at this forum. It's still too early in the matter. And again, at this time, I recommend that we attend to the family's needs and the heartache that's before this community. But those in the days and weeks, the administration will be looking into the broader policy issues that have to be answered. We have a couple other things under administration. The digital sign topper is in. It looks terrific. I want to thank Councilman Perkins. He had very appropriately recommended Peter Catelli, who had done our signs around the township on the wonderful welcome signs as you get into Mount Olive. And I have to say, his craftsmanship in the sign topper was every bit as impressive. It's beautiful. The digital sign itself, with the weather coming in this week, it looks very fortuitous that we're going to be able to start the augering and pouring of the concrete maybe late this week, early next week. If the weather doesn't look like it's going to hold out until Monday or Tuesday of next week, we're going to push up towards the end of this week. But we're finishing some electrical conduit that has to be put in, but that's really going to get moving. The steel's in, so you're going to start seeing some progress very soon in that regard. As you know, chipping has been proceeding down through Clover Hill. We're coming up out of there and finishing up the rest of the township. We transferred some people from public buildings and grounds, as well as water and sewer, over into roads. By doing that, in the short term, we wanted to really get a jump on accomplishing the storm cleanup. It's been massive, but we're trying to give it a jump start so we can get to the final stages. One of the side benefits of that, and part of the plan, was that we could start accomplishing the Community Development Block Grant, which is the Bud Lake dry wells up through the Bud Lake section. And as Councilman Perkins can attest, we were up there today and yesterday, and we're starting to get a handle on that. So we have to get moving on that project as well. So there's more work than there is time right now, but we're juggling our personnel to get it accomplished.
Thank you very much. Excellent job.
Thank you.
Alrighty. Old business. Anybody have any old business? Seeing none? Oh, I'm sorry. Mr.
Forgive me,
Rowan?
I skipped over on the last old business section, but Sean, do you, any update on what are we sending out the polling question for the sewer questionnaire for Old Triangle?
The plan for that right now is, right now we're in the due diligence stage, and
Okay.
again, getting through the feasibility study. I've been in contact last week and this week with Mr. Brzezinski, Catherine, and the Highlands Commission, because there's a Highlands question that has to be resolved on that. Once we get all the facts straight as we know them, we're going to certified mail every one of those residents. We're hoping to have an information session in here on February 8th or February 22nd. My guess might be February 22nd, which is the second council meeting. Subsequent to that, if it's council's wish, we're going to go out with a survey. My guess is, from what I know, there will be a two-part to that survey because of the homes that are in the Highlands preservation area. So it impacts the estimated cost, whether everybody's included or just a portion. So there's some issues we still have to get through, but we're on it.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Madam
I
President.
guess that was a long-winded yes.
It was
Sorry.
it was an informative yes. Any new business? Yep. Seeing none. Legal matters.
Nothing to report tonight, Madam President.
Very good. Council reports. Recreation, Mr. Roman.
I have nothing to report on recreation.
Mr. Perkins, Board of Health.
Later this month, Madam President.
Alrighty. Legislative, Mr. Perkins?
Nothing to report. I would ask that Mr. Walsh should ask me to remove his name from the listing. So,
I did remove that last week, but I was going to tell Lisa, so we'll remove Mr. Walsh. Mr. Maney is not here for planning board. Mayor, do you have anything for the planning board?
No, I actually don't sit on the planning
Oh, you
board.
don't? Okay.
No, I have Brian Schechter has been appointed as my alternate.
Okay, very good. While Mr. Maney is away, do you think Mr. Schechter would be willing to give us an update for the planning?
I will endeavor to get an update from Mr. Schechter to be able to provide it to council.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate that. Board of Education, Mr. Roman.
On this past Monday, the Board of Ed met and had the reorganization meeting, and they re-elected for president Anthony Giordano and for vice president Liz Ouimet. Also, among the various appointments, they approved Dr. Reynolds' contract to end through June 30th of 2018. And that is all I have for Board of Ed.
Mr. Ferranti, Open Space?
Nothing.
Lake Environment? Library?
Nope, nothing.
Okay. Mr. Nacastro, Safety Committee?
Nothing yet.
Alrighty. Mr. Perkins, Economic Development Committee?
nothing to report.
And Mr. Maney is not here for Senior Citizens. And for TNR, I'd like to say that Sunday we met here at Town Hall and we started going through organizing our paperwork. Turns out one of the gentlemen who's no longer a member of the group for some reason had done everything in triplicate. So I want to thank very much Mr. Shaw, Mr. Canning and Mrs. Lashway for, we had the tables all set up here. We had everything spread out. We actually sorted everything through. We began the scanning process. We were hoping to complete it. However, we will be back this Sunday, which I had reserved both days, but it was really nice to actually get through and start to have an organization and decide how we want to have a procedure. Because what has happened with, well, TNR, as most of you know, originally started out where you trap the cats and you would return them to the colony with a caregiver. In Mount Olive, we've been very fortunate that we have not had to return very many cats. More than a couple of hundred at this point have been adopted out. So while you don't really, and also when they brought some cats in for a second boostering, they became socialized, so they didn't go back out. They were actually adopted. So we've decided to set up binders for each colony to be able to keep track, because it is an ongoing process of reboostering the animals and keeping track of exactly where they go. So it was really nice. We were here from 10 till 4 o'clock. So yeah, we were very, very busy. So this Sunday we should be able to wrap it up. But you know, we all go through that. You get a lot of paperwork. You keep thinking you're going to set up some sort of a system. Next thing you know, the pile just keeps growing and growing, and then you're just like, so yeah. Sean, why is Sean looking at you, Sherry?
It's like our desk.
Yeah, mine too. So it was really nice, and also the other thing, it's something about going through. They were saying, oh my God, look at all these cats that they have. You know, they've trapped them, they've cared for them, they've fostered them, they adopted them out or brought them back and they've been caring for them. It was hundreds, and you don't realize how many you've actually been doing until you actually look at it in one great big, you know, well, it was all spread out all over the table. So that was very, very rewarding. They also had a 12 Days of Christmas adoption. They adopted a couple more cats out, so that was also excellent. So we're moving right along with all that. So it was a very rewarding Sunday. Our public portion. Anybody from the public like to address the council this evening? Okay, seeing none, close the council meeting to the public, and we're up to council comments. Mr. Ferranti.
I would just like to extend my condolences to the family and friends of the 2 teens from the tragic event of yesterday, and extend my gratitude to those involved in the rescue and recovery efforts that is continuing. That's all.
Mr. Nicastro.
Same as John, I want to send my condolences and sympathies to the families and the friends of those 2 teens.
Mr. Perkins.
Thank you, Madam President. I'd be remiss not to ask everybody to remember those families in their prayers. A special prayer for the souls of those young children who are now up with their maker. It was interesting, and I thank our mayor for being out there last evening, as well as I know all day today. I spent quite a few hours at the beach, at the lake myself, as did Council President LeBeau. It's not easy. The folks that you probably should be saying an extra prayer for were those divers who actually recovered the body of the young man. And I don't think there's anything worse than having to do that job. Thank you, Madam President.
Mr. Roman?
Yeah, I join the rest of my fellow colleagues here with expressing my deepest condolences on the loss of another youth, and unfortunately in this case two, of our community. You know, many times we praise how our community of Mount Olive comes together for, you know, joyous occasions, and by the presence of what last night we were also there when tragedy befalls us. No parent should ever have to bury their child, and all of us that have children, I'm sure can feel what it must be like. And the only light that I could possibly see coming out of this event is that it will, you know, send a message out that the dangers of walking on the ice. You know, it's hopefully the tragedy of this type will maybe save, hopefully, another life or prevent something else. Maybe just not in Mount Olive, but, you know, in somewhere out in another part of the country, because unfortunately it's been broadcast broadly in the news. But I've always been taught that when a tragedy befalls us, to try to at least take something away from it. Thank you.
Thank you. I too express my condolences to the families and a very deep debt of gratitude to all of our firemen, our first aid, our police officers, the state police, and all of the divers who came in. I mean, as all of us know, last night it was a constant, endless sirens and all of from all the surrounding towns coming out to help us, and it was wonderful. And even talking with some of our emergency crews today, it was very hard. A lot of people wanted to, you know, just get out there and try and help, but you have to, you know, make sure you have all your safety equipment and just the amount of training that everyone has, and they understand that you don't, you know, you have to follow procedures and do what needs to be done. And even just today, everybody waiting for the news and talking with the families, and spent a lot of time keeping the press away from the families, which is in itself quite a task. And I do want to thank Mayor Greenbaum. I heard from numerous people today. They were very thankful that we have a mayor who cares so greatly for the public, and he was there. And they talked about him being there last night, and they had seen Mr. Perkins there, myself there, and it just really means a lot to our staff and our volunteers and the public. So I do thank you very much. And with that, I would like to ask for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you, everyone. Please have a safe evening.
I'm waiting for you to say.
You made it through your first full one, Colleen.
You know?